I never thought I would live to see this day with privacy rights and AI becoming such an influential part of the world that I live in. I thought it was a generation or two after me. Um, but I want to break into one of the larger topics that we have, and it's we're gonna talk about a little bit about Lewis Rossman, and what's going on in Denver. And I think there's been some really eye opening uh, personal experiences just from watching this unfold and how I understand politics in general or what's going on in general, and really trying to approach this as not a left or right issue, because I'm convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that this is an up or down issue. This is and I know the Democrats are going to take this topic. They're just better at it. They're more in tune with what's going on, and they'll make this their talking point. And if they do, they'll win elections because of it. But regardless of that, this is something that can win hearts and minds on both sides of the aisle. So I want to start off with the Rebel News. Rebel News just post on X. Just to start this off. So it says, social media companies confirm ID needed for Trojan horse under 16 ban. That sounds an awful lot like something that I said a couple weeks ago. What do you think about that? I mean,
Let me read this. Social media companies confirm ID needed for Trojan horse. Like, are they outright saying this, or is it just the title that they're using here?
so I think that's just the title. The essence of it is after that. It's platforms warn age verification will likely force Australian users to surrender sensitive information. We don't need to look past. We don't need to look to Australia to do that, right? Because this is going to go into this. This attaches to a digital ID, but even without the digital ID, if you're under 16, what this does is it gets you into the system. It's a regulatory or an access control to the entire internet, right? This is used to replace parenting, but the the sensitive information aspect of it should go into, well, if you need to prove that you're under 16, or you need to prove that you're over 16. So you need to still prove that you're an adult, even though you're not an adult, but it's meant to protect kids. It's the whole mess that we're getting into, trying to push for like the content ban, even though it's not ever going to. I would say it's not ever going to happen, but I don't want to say that.
It's the Trojan horse. I mean, that's the crux of it.
It's it,
It's just one way to implement something that will then be expanded upon. And of course, the general population who has their head in the sand, who doesn't really ever think beyond, what's presented to them, information presented to them, and only looking at it from the aspect of protecting the children instead of talking about, parents doing their goddamn job and actually, being parents and teaching their children proper etiquette and proper internet usage and being there to observe what they are actually doing on the internet as they should. Instead, they're offloading their parental responsibility into a larger organization because they're lazy. Sorry,
Oh, like a
but
government.
essentially
So
what's
so
going
you're
on.
saying that
Yeah.
whenever we talk about parenting, we just need to start considering the government as parent. I think that's a reasonable way to just approach conversations until it changes. So big
Yeah.
big daddy government wants to control what you do. And I mean, I brought up the
Hmm.
House Bill 4938 from Michigan, and Josh Shriver starting to try to get on that porn ban. Anytime someone's mentioning it, and this is something that you just see on X. You see a bunch of people with Christian crosses claiming that they're the holiest person ever, and then they're like, "Well, we're going to ban porn," but they it's clearly not about porn, and it's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's not about porn anymore. I mean, hell, let's look at Collective Shout, right? Collective Shout wanted to get like porn out of video games, right? But I mean, we talked about this last week. They're selling courses, or they started selling courses on how to be good with, like, how to handle sexual situations and stuff like that. They're marketing their I guess religious courses.
Grifting.
I don't know if that's grifting though. I don't know if, because
Well,
I
they're
mean okay.
oh, okay,
Do,
yeah.
do you see where they might actually believe it, and I think maybe we're calling people grifters that aren't, and they're just really intelligent people.
Zealotous. Yeah.
Somebody joined us in chat. They think the best time for the region was the Turkish Empire. I don't know anything about the Turkish Empire. Do you?
I don't recall a lot of it. I mean, I looked into some of that stuff back in the day, but my memory is hazy on it. I haven't looked at it in years.
Yeah, it hasn't been fresh. Hasn't been fresh in the conversation for a while. I'll have to look into that. That'll be something to look into for next week and follow up on that. But I wanted to approach this conversation from this point because of we know the porn ban in Texas, and there's a bunch of U.S. states that have it. And the only way that you can ever truly implement it is to record stuff at the ISP level, or even at the router level. You can. There's obscure. They're trying to criminalize it. But I wanted to look at Louis Rossmann. I know we've talked about him quite a bit, and the approach that he's taking, engaging with politicians, with real people. I'm finding a deeper appreciation for people that I disagree with just by seeing him go into Denver and seeing how those real people, they share a slightly different perspective on some things, but there's still very much there's a lot of overlap for us to grow from in this. I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say someone sent this to him, and I think that getting the awareness out of how people are groomed. I view enforcing things onto children to raise them up to be good digital servants later is still a form of grooming. It might not, if that makes sense. I might be saying it the best way, but all right, let's go and play this, and let's see if you have a similar reaction to it.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. Somebody sent me an email that I'm guessing is from a school. This made me fucking sick to my stomach. And I don't have children, and I'm glad that I don't, because if I did have children, I'd probably be showing up at all the school board hearings, asking about this, and probably getting myself arrested. So this is from, I don't know if this is high school, junior high school, what it is, but look at this. Integrity means doing right, even when no one's watching. But yeah, we are watching. Okay, here we go. At Estrella Foothalls High School. So this is a high school, not a junior.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. The integrity, doing right even when no one's watching. This was almost verbatim what my father taught to me when I was a kid. So I've talked about in the past how he would used to sit there and preach to me or lecture me, is a better term, for hours over character, which is doing the right thing even when no one's looking, especially when no one's looking. So it's just interesting that exact wording is there. I just wanted to highlight that.
That's pretty much what everyone taught me about integrity, as far as like the base concept of integrity. It's what you do when you're alone and no one else is watching. So it's like, if someone was looking at you, this is what they would see. But that goes into the aspect of privacy. And I mean, even just like, one of the kind people in chat decided to, say that, if you don't know something on a topic, you shouldn't talk on it. I think that's absolutely the wrong way to approach a conversation. I certainly don't ever claim to be an authority on a situation. If I do, then I generally know what I'm talking about. But it's important to engage in ideas that you don't understand something so you can learn stuff about it. Just like I will be able to follow up or look into, the earlier comment. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to doing what's right when everyone's watching, I want to let this play out.
Yeah, high school doesn't make it okay. Integrity means doing right even when no one's watching, but yeah, we are watching. Cameras keep us safe. Wolf Pride keeps us honest. We don't do good things just because we're on camera. We do them because we're good people. Do good because it's right, not because you're on camera. Be the reason that others feel safe. At least in this one, it doesn't say, yeah, but by the way, you're on camera and we're watching. This is so sadistic to me. You're conditioning young people to be okay with somebody watching them all the time. And see, there's a number of things that I have a problem with here, and you tell me what you think. Number one is the idea of associating a camera with safety. I had a business in New York City.
That's a good starting point. Associating a camera with safety. Do you agree with that? Does a camera provide safety?
No, because there's no way a camera can prevent a crime.
So
It's like physically deterrent. Like that's what I'm talking about. A camera is nothing more than something can provide evidence to the prosecution of a crime, but there is nothing about it preventing a crime.
do you think that someone posting a sign in their yard that says this home is protected by ADT provides some level of safety?
In the end, no, because it's a deterrent,
There you go. That's the right word.
but it doesn't actually provide safety. It's because of the belief that you having an alarm system, thinking from the perspective of a criminal here, that you see that they have an alarm system, it will decrease the amount of time you have to get in, get something, get out if you're going to rob the place, so to speak. And also increases the possibility of getting caught. But it does not prevent the crime itself. If you had a physical person there that had a weapon that could stop them, incapacitate them, that is the prevention of a crime.
So it sounds
There
like
is a difference.
it sounds like you're saying that a lot of the stuff we're presented in forms of safety are actually just being sold to us as deterrents.
Correct.
So that means there's a trade-off because like there's going to be some give and some take.
Correct.
It's not just a net gain. Well, as we've been watching Denver the last couple of weeks, or Colorado, it's been Denver. We know that the mayor didn't show up to the town hall, and we went through that video. And then on a local news station, Fox 31 Denver, there's a woman that got arrested. She was wrongfully accused of theft because of the AI cameras, and the police did their diligence and said that, I mean, we'll play the video in just a second, but what I kind of wanted to show here throughout the segment was that they're hitting it's being approached on all levels. They're trying to sell it on all levels. It's being implemented on the ground level with the kids, grassroots, which means it's in the schools, right? And we already know that other agendas have been pushed in the schools. And then we now know that it's just a psychological deterrent, is to say, oh, well, like, I can watch you, but I can't stop you. The only real power is one that is you can enforce, right? And the only, I guess, what's the proper argument for that? I've heard someone say that.
A proper argument for what? Sorry?
The only rights that you have are ones that you can
Protect yourself.
right, and then the only way that you can do that is through force. Outside of that, it's you don't have any control over it.
Well, yeah, because control is always done through force. I mean, or the whoever has the what's the word? The abundance of violence is the one who's in control. So, like the American government, who has the abundance of force in the world, is technically the United States has a significant amount of control over the rest of the world because of the amount of force we can employ. I'm not saying we are the rulers of the world by any stretch of the imagination, but we have the ability to project that force anywhere around the globe.
The perception
in
of
moments.
the threat. It's the perception of the threat. It's the perception
Yes.
of that safety, saying, oh, the U.S. could strike you anywhere in the world in X amount of time, or they can pull off this amazing, military operation. You're not safe anywhere. I mean, it's effective for messaging, but I think that people, I don't know if people are actually waking up to this. I'm not sure anymore, just because of the mess.
You mean waking up to the surveillance state that's coming?
Yes. No, not that's
Okay.
coming. The one that's already here.
Well, I mean, like, I guess the full brunt of it.
Oh,
Like,
you're seeing
yeah.
the actualized system. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But well, I'm gonna go ahead and play this video. It's only 2 minutes, and then I think it'll continue the conversation in the direction I need it to go.
A Denver woman says that she was wrongfully accused of theft after police tracked her car using flock cameras.
Now, the camera system has been a point of controversy over privacy concerns, but it's been a praised tool by police who've used it successfully to track down suspects and make arrests.
But after the system was used to accuse...
So in order to track down suspects and make arrests, but that means if that system's on and it's a flock system, it's recording you all the time, everybody, regardless of whether you're innocent or not.
Yep.
So this is where the Fourth and I think Fourth Amendment protections come in, because this technology was not even thought of whenever these things were created. So I think that maybe just we're dealing with an outdated set of rules and information regarding this type of stuff, and it goes into the consumer rights and privacy aspect of it too. We're just dealing with outdated information or outdated rules. Is that a possibility?
Well, yes, but I remember reading, as well as other people's opinions about the founding fathers knew that one day technology would become technology would continue to grow. Of course, they didn't exactly foresee cameras or TVs or computers,
Smartphones,
specifics, smartphones, and all this other
robots.
stuff. But they spent a significant amount of time in the wording of the Constitution in order to be as broad as possible to create as many protections as possible. The problem is the interpretation of the wording is what is causing a lot of these situations to occur. And that was one of the primary functions of the Supreme Court, was to interpret the law, interpret the Constitution for the current times, whenever, they may be at the time that, the Supreme Court is considering something, because they knew that times will change and things will, in general, technology will change and advance. So I think that the wording is there. It's just that it has all the different laws and precedents that have been set since the signing of the original Constitution have muddied the waters to such a point where is becoming significantly easier for malicious actors to utilize the law in a lawful evil type situation to further their own agendas. So in general,
well, I mean,
I don't think it's outdated. I think it's been manipulated.
Well, it sounds like we're not adhering to the definition, or we don't have a clear shared societal definition of what the Fourth Amendment or what the Constitution does, because that's the framing document for all of the other stuff. All the other stuff is irrelevant then if it goes against what the Constitution says.
Yes, but that goes back to those who have the most application of force to enforce certain laws, because there are laws that are unconstitutional. The problem is that the way that everything is structured in this country, a lawsuit must be brought up, and then you must go through an extremely lengthy and financially detrimental process in order to get it up to a federal judge or even to the Supreme Court in order to, make a precedent to ensure that the Constitution is properly followed. And until someone is able to do that with various things, certain unconstitutional activities are going to continue. And I would argue that these cameras are unconstitutional under the Fourth Amendment, but unless that we can get the funds together to actually present it and create an argument to fight this at the Supreme Court, nothing is really going to change in that regard.
Well, that's why I said from the beginning that people need to get on. Gamers, anime nerds, all of the people that are interested could benefit. Anybody interested in privacy, and the majority of them are probably going to be liberal Democrats. And unfortunately, I will end up agreeing with leftists on quite a bit of topics surrounding the topic of privacy. That's why it's not a left or right issue. This is something that affects everybody, and we just need to have the conversation. That's why I say I think Lewis is presenting that the best way right now.
I agreed, 100%.
All right, let's dig further into this.
Of a crime, one woman is warning everyone to have cameras of their own. Fox 31's Anna Kuhn sat down with her and has her story tonight. Anna?
Hey guys, well, the Columbine Valley police chief has since voided the court summons against this woman, but she says she never should have been accused in the first place.
Just click the video.
Without us knowing, correct?
Oh, here we go.
You know we have cameras in that town and you can't get a breath of fresh air in or out of that place without us knowing, correct?
On September 27th, the Columbine Valley police officer came to Chrisanna Elser's door and issued her a summons to appear in court, accusing her of stealing a $25 package in the town of Bomar. The officer said he had doorbell video of the theft and had tracked her car in the area using flock cameras.
It is locked in. There is zero doubt. I wouldn't have come here unless I was 100% sure.
Zero doubt.
100%.
The only problem with this case, she wasn't there, and she had the evidence to prove it.
What happens if you don't have the evidence to prove it? What if you don't have a Ring camera to prove that you were there? Or what if you don't have some kind of log or way to prove that?
You're screwed.
You're screwed. Because he did his due diligence over this $25 package, and look how much waste was caused as a result.
Yep.
That's some prime police work. But I guarantee you, if you give them more resources, it'll work better. Guaranteed.
Yeah, they, you know, whoever they are probably trying to create situations like this in order to use the justification you just said. We need more. We need more. This will get better if we have more.
Mm-hmm.
So it's.
But look at what they're already look at what they're already using it on, though.
Mm-hmm. For a 25. I mean.
But it's about the premise. You get it in the system. All they have to do is get it implemented. All you have to do is be spending money on it, justify it being in place, and then scope creep it into something else. What happens whenever you attach this system, which this cop drove from some other place to this lady's door saying, we have undeniable proof. We have cameras. You're guilty. Now throw that with a digital ID and access to your bank account and being able to control everything that you do. That should terrify every single person, regardless of what you're side on, regardless of whether you're a Jew, regardless of whether you're Muslim, regardless of whether you're a leftist or a right wing or a groyper. It's bigger than that. Mm-hmm. And if you can't see that, then you're not ready to have an adult conversation about it.
Yep. And on top of that, too, it's everything you just said is a distraction from what this is. Because this could be the ultimate goal of what everything that is going on right now is nothing but a distraction on a way to, like you said, scope creep in a 100% controlled planet under a surveillance state. You just got to take just an inch here and an inch there will eventually span the globe.
And that, I mean, that's something that I always heard that like American intelligence and Chinese intelligence were so vastly different because Americans generally how they think are like, oh, information intelligence, what can I know right now? And I can make this immediate action. Chinese intelligence was what can I learn over the course of 100 years and make a plan because of that. Too drastic.
When you say intelligence, what do you mean? Like you're talking about military wise or just?
Sure. We can just keep it military wise. Let's not use the military aspect. I'm thinking just general approach. I mean, I was thinking of it from the military aspect. I'm saying just Westerners, Americans, to me, seem like they're far more spontaneous and instant and more interested in instant gratitude or instant gratification. I mean.
Oh, I 100% agree with that.
So that's kind of the mindset I was trying to think of it there. That helps.
Gotcha.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying now.
But this woman ended up not being guilty, but this is an example of in Denver, right? Where we've been hitting on it for a couple of weeks now. These flock cameras that you're paying for are being used against you for shit that you also didn't do and wasting that police officer's time instead of him going and dealing with a real criminal. Like a package stolen off the porch, a solution is not an AI camera. Because then what happens? Well, everyone's getting their package stolen. Well, let's just have access to your Ring camera, which we already know is happening. And actually, that's the fourth thing here. We don't know if it's happening, but I saw a thing allegedly Ring cameras are going to add like a familiar faces feature. So in order for that to happen, it's going to have to scan all of the people that the camera picks up.
And then hold a database.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. But it's not just about that, because we're not done with Denver, and we have the whole other section after this. But the mayor that didn't show up, I'm pretty sure it's the same mayor, because we are dealing with Lewis. Let me make sure I can get this loaded. He didn't show up, but he had the time to go into
The hell?
the news. Oh, it's a cat. That's Blackberry. I think it's Blackberry. That's Lewis's cat.
Ah, okay, that makes more sense. Confusing here is like, did YouTube just pull a fast one? Or
No. I had to load it. Yeah, this kind of sums up. I don't think that even Democrats have good politicians. I think that all of us have been convinced of the pieces of shit they present us are acceptable. And the only solution I have is if someone wants to run for office and I can help them by sitting down and doing a podcast with them or engaging with them, I'd be more than happy to do that. But I think that we need to get real people that aren't on the books, even into our local and state. Local, like if you could fix local and state, you can address federal. But I think that we're starting to see a lot more action stuff happen on a state level, and I think most of the cities are kind of entrenched.
About like from a Democratic standpoint?
Yeah.
Or, sorry.
Yeah, from a Democratic standpoint.
Yeah.
But so the title of the video is Mayor Johnson lies about the murder victim to justify AI surveillance. So this is over the Flock AI system that we discussed and they had the town hall on.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a lovely day. This man decided, instead of speaking at a town hall after moving ahead with a contract for $498,500 after they rejected a $500,000 one for AI surveillance, to speak to the press. He sent this guy, who's, you could just see from the look on his face, he has a pretty bad fucking job, to talk to the constituents and explain to them why, I know that you all voted no and don't want AI surveillance in your...
I know that we pointed that very, I think I want that exact same image out. I was like, he's not having a good day.
neighborhood, but we put it there anyway, and you're paying for it anyway. Fuck you. He decided to go and talk to the press, and I wanted to play one of the things that he said while talking to the press that wound up not being true. The TLDR of this is that he was saying, I know that you're all concerned about these cameras being used to target vulnerable communities and ICE, but it could help people that are trans. Look, we solved a case on somebody that's trans. Except you could tell that he's using this as a prop, which is what makes me sick. He's using the trans victim that they found the killer of as a symbol. Except A, you could tell from his tone of voice he's using that as a symbol, and more importantly, B, he hallucinated it. Very similar to the camera that hallucinated thinking that a Doritos bag was a gun. Similar to the camera that hallucinated that a middle-aged woman with a fucking Rivian was stealing packages in a neighborhood where she never even got out of her car in. It also just so Mike Johnson.
That was the video that I just pulled up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was this one. It might be a different one.
That he's solving cases with these cameras that he's not. And the problem with this, the bullshit runs around the world faster than time it takes for the truth to get its shoes on. So let me play you this clip from the Channel 9 News so you can see what I mean.
Now, we had a trans woman who was kidnapped and murdered, picked up in Denver, murdered in Lakewood. We solved that crime because Denver and Lakewood could talk to each other across a Flock camera database.
That's not true.
He couldn't be talking about my daughter.
Sherry Gattalk-Camus now knows the mayor was in fact talking about her daughter, Jax Gattalk.
Jack's case is not solved. Flock cameras had nothing to do with finding the perpetrators. Absolutely nothing.
Nobody has been arrested in Jax's case, where Jax's body was found by a business owner near his building months after she was reported missing.
I'm shocked and appalled that a public official would use my daughter and claim that Flock had anything to do with her being found.
The mayor's office is now offering...
That kind of lays out the premise for putting the topic on the board, I think.
Yeah, I'm not shocked, but I am appalled. Yeah, it's...
I mean, do you disagree with
just...
the apparently the victim's mother? I guess do you believe the mayor who doesn't show up for his constituents at a town hall, or do you believe the actual words of the mother saying that it had nothing to do with it, wasn't real?
Well, I would assume that the mother would have as much information as she possibly could for, to understand what happened and everything that occurred around her child. So yes, I would be more inclined to believe, assuming that is the mother, um, that she had maybe not access to, but got as much information as she could about it. Did they actually talk about within the video what led, or like from that woman, specifically from the mother, that led to the capture of the criminals?
Yeah.
Was
Or
found
they
by a
just kind of
business owner near his building months after she was reported missing.
I'm shocked and appalled that
Mayor's office is now offering an apology to Jax's mom, saying the Lakewood police case is ongoing, and said in part, quote, "We should have spoken with her family before referencing the case. We offer our deepest apologies for any additional stress this has caused."
Oh, that's so bullshit. They knew exactly what the fuck they were doing. They only because they were caught are they doing this. And like Lewis said, it's the false information gets spread too fast, and a significant majority of the people who see it never realize that the information is wrong.
They just accept that, oh, well, the mayor's on TV with this TV person that I trust, and he's saying that AI helped solve this case, and it helped the trans community. Talk about virtue signaling out the ass.
Yeah. Kind of like a real quick example of this, the whole thing that happened with, Cinder and me, holding myself accountable for it. It's even after I did my redaction of what I said, the amount of people that were sharing it and liking it were more than the increase in the views of my retraction. So that's kind of a case in point of people are not always going to see an after effect, primarily because the algorithm, at least with social media, doesn't ever highlight the secondary effects as it does the primary.
Do they ever?
The secondary would be the attraction.
Is there ever a need to do that though? Or I guess most people probably would think that, oh, well, I formed an opinion about this until I'm forced with making a new decision about this. There's no reason for me to dig deeper.
Exactly. And that's the point. That's the reason why they do what they did. But the problem is that once the secondary effect actually becomes more seen than the primary effect, you get stuff like this where they basically have to walk it back for optics. They are forced to do it. So it's very disingenuous of this mayor to do this. He knows exactly what the hell he's doing. At least I am convinced he knows exactly what the hell he's doing. He knows it was false from the beginning, but he just chose something that happened recently that would fit his narrative and basically emotionally blackmail the entirety of the community. And now that he's caught, I mean, of course, they have a segment now where they're talking about it, but how many people who have maybe seen the original interview are going to see this retraction on a website? I mean, yeah, they probably did broadcast it, but it's manipulation, it's control.
Well, I mean, it was a local Denver station. I think it was like 145,000 just on that particular video. So that doesn't include, I'm assuming, what they had for actual airtime of the local cable station.
But this is one of the few cases where the correct information is probably known by at least the same amount who got the incorrect information, only because it was highlighted. But he got caught, so they had to do the retraction. But if they didn't get caught, he would not have done this.
Well, I mean, he hasn't really been caught, because this is Lewis pointing it out. I'm sure that the people interested in the town hall and the people that all voted against the flock system for millions for just under the threshold of what he can approve by himself. I'm really interested in seeing how this plays out, because this is like I said in the beginning, this is influencing my perception of Democrats as a whole, right? Because what Denver has is they have a younger group of people in their politics. They seem relatively intelligent, relatively good-hearted. But they, according to their own words, they all said no to the system, and it got implemented anyways. So I'd like to see if this mayor, especially after this, if this gets any more notice. I want to see if he maintains his job or how he closes this gap between the city board and himself. In my mind, he's completely unqualified, but who am I to make that call?
Yeah. They voted him in. I mean, they got us sleep in the bed they made.
And that is something that I will give Democrats. They are organized and they will show up. You don't have to be right if you're organized and show up.
That's a good point. Yeah.
All right, I can sort of that. But yeah. Anyways, I guess where I wanted to leave this for this particular topic was knowing what's coming for the future of AI, what you're comfortable with, how we choose to use it, what's actually happening in the world. I just want to have honest conversations. And I think that's, kind of like this whole podcast. We just want to have honest conversations. Sometimes even from positions that we know nothing about, because I don't know, I happen to learn that way, believe it or not.
Yeah. And you also can't know everything about everything. So,
I mean,
because if you did, we wouldn't be having this conversation as we are now.
But just off of the presentation of what the mayor has told us here, is like, we don't have to be right. We just have to lie to you and get people to hear it and then move on. So I guess it's always good to engage in, is this good information or is it not? Just like if someone came in and they're like, hey, well, you don't know anything about this topic, you shouldn't speak on it. Well, you seem like an expert. Why don't you come and join us? Why don't you come teach me? I'd like you. I'm open to people coming on and engaging in civil ideas, and that's going to make this so much more better. But anyone that wants to come out and say something like that can go fuck themselves if they want to just be assholes.
Yep.
But if you guys are liking some of the content that we are doing, please sure to leave a like, follow, and subscribe. We can't do this without you. And then that will be that.